most of my time. I spend most of my time viewing what I want from the outside. I comb it over like it's the scene of a crime. The only guilty I find staring back at me in the mirror at night, stuck in place just waiting for a green light. But I can't lie awake for someone else to say I can live my the only comfort I've found is blending in with another crowd. When things go wrong, we'll pass the blame around. 'Cause I can't lie awake for someone else to say I can live my life. My life. But I keep asking for permission. No, I keep asking for permission. No, I keep asking for permission. Why do I keep asking for permission? Oh, and I can't lie awake for someone else to say I can live my life. My
Bittersweet is the taste of your mind all these days. Want a piece of the thought there on your face. Hold on tight, oh baby, come and lose. All this back and forth has killed my youth. Promise me that our days will run smooth until we crumble. We could be something new, 'cause all I need is you. No more goodbyes, we'll start on something new. I know you want it too. No more goodbyes, no more goodbyes. Picture you drink
right. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know you can see me. I see many of you. I see the shaking of heads. That's a good sign. Um, it is. It has been. It's been a minute since we've done this. God, it has been such a whirlwind of crazy, good crazy. For me with the book and all that, and speaking and then about a week ago, I got hit with whatever cold was going around, and basically it said, "Slow down for a moment." And so I took a moment and for myself. And so, thanks, Jason. You can still hear it in my voice, but I'm here. I'm back and getting back in the game and trying to put these things back on the calendar. Um, and so there's a lot of new faces here, which I like, and I like that you're all jumping into Zoom because then I can see your faces and we can actually have conversations. I do have questions that came in through the hotline and stuff. I want to touch on those and also make sure that I can answer some questions. I have another call at the top of the hour, but we've got 60 minutes to kind of move through some of this stuff, and then we're coming back next week. So stay with me. I'm also looking at the possibility of putting on the calendar 4 special sessions. For those of you that got my book, maybe doing 4 sessions in a kind of a book club mode where I'm kind of summarizing and asking questions and answering questions and moving you through the process in the book. There's so many that have come to me with really great comments and like changes already in their lives and everything. And so it is it's something that I'm looking at trying to figure out the scheduling. So watch for that. It'll be a separate email. It'll be a separate thing. And if you don't need to have read the book to participate, you just you want to have the book so you can participate, but we can go through it. So that would be that's kind of what I'm thinking. And lots of stuff on the horizon. So here's why I say that. June 11th, the book Building Your Money Machine came out. That was, to me, not the finish line, but the starting line. It was a starting line to have a conversation around money, to change the dynamics around money, to turn around and try to eliminate and reduce the stress around money, to put you in a mastering your money instead of it taking control of you, and doing it in a way that is hopefully simple. Not, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It just means it's simple. And know that you have you have the opportunity to have a safe place to have conversations and be able to make that all work. So so that's that's kind of my thinking right now. I just haven't had a chance to slow down enough to look at the calendar. I'm heading to Vegas this week to speak at a conference. 300 or so folks. They bought 300 books, which is really kind of cool. So they got 300 books. Now I am gonna, after I speak, gonna do some book signings. So hopefully, I don't know what it's gonna be like to try and sign 300 books. I don't know if they'll all wait around, but my hand might be tired after that. So cool. All right, let's do some things. Before I start, I want to touch on where we are in the market. I just kind of like doing this to maybe give a feel for where we are. And why I'm doing it is, one, to give you an idea of what's going on, but also to put you in a conversation around things that maybe you haven't had conversations about. So you get used to the conversations, you get used to the terms, you get used to some of the things. So I'm going to jump to the iPad because I this is a site that I use from John Hancock that every week will give me an idea of what's going on in the market, and everything, and you'll see in here, because it's really important for us to start to understand what that might look like. If you look at this, the Dow Jones, which is this top line here, last week closed out at 40,287. Dow Jones Industrial is the top 30 companies in there. It went up point. We had a very erratic week last week, but the most important thing I want you to realize is that year to date, we're at 8%. Okay, 8% up. Okay, now it doesn't mean we'll be 16% by the end of the year. It means that we'll be somewhere. Who knows? And with the election and all that stuff, who knows what's going to happen? NASDAQ had a bad week last week. Now, NASDAQ is an index, but the majority of the stocks in that index are tech stocks, and tech stocks got hurt last week. They got hit. They dropped a lot last week. And so it's expected to see that, but at the same time, you'll see that it's still up 18.5% for the year. So even though it lost 3.6%, it's still up 18.5% for the year. Then there's S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the 500 top biggest companies in the stock market. Had a down week, 1.9% down, but still 16.3% up for the year. I tell you this because the tendency might sit back and say, oh my God, we had a down week. What, should we get out? No, we play the long term. Your stocks are always they're always going to be doing this. And if we look at the short term, you'll see downs, you'll see ups, but the key is when we look at it in the long term, it's an upward trend. So even though we had a down week, you got to look at the overall trend. And if you look at what has happened historically, the S&P 500, which is the top 500 stocks, made it S&P 5000. Here's the thing. Over any 20-year period, it, other than the recession, it never returned anything less than 4%. 90% of the time, it was greater than 8%. 59% of the time, it was greater than 10%. So the point being is that we always want to look 10 years. There's data showing that 10 years or more, you're up 94% of the time. So I want you to take this long. I want you to take this long view. Okay. Yeah, Adam, I am on Zoom also, and that's where I can get a chance to see everyone's faces. So I'm on Zoom. I'm on LinkedIn. I am on YouTube. I am on Facebook. The only place I'm not right now is Instagram. So let me jump into, I just wanted to give you a flavor. I think that we're in a spot now. Here's the other thing that's happening this week. This week we start tech earnings. So for instance, Tesla's announcing their earnings tomorrow. We'll start to see what the outlook is for the company. And that might set the stage for other auto manufacturers, electric vehicle manufacturers, and that kind of thing. And then at the end of the week, we're going to get some additional economic data, GDP numbers and PCE numbers. Those are the things that the feds look at for purposes of deciding whether they're going to reduce interest rates or not. Interest rates have stayed high. They've held them there we expect some sort of decline. I don't know that we're going to get it in this meeting that's coming up at the end of the month here. I think that if we get it, it'll be in September. But you never know with the Fed. They want to see a pattern that shows slowing down of the inflation, that they've got control of things. But I don't know if they have enough of a pattern yet at this point. Now, let me touch on the questions, but before that, I want to hit on the elephant in the room. We had a situation yesterday where President Biden decided he was not going to continue his campaign and his run for the White House. Now, I do not talk about politics. Anyone's beliefs on politics, whatever side of the aisle you're on, is your business. I don't bring it up whatsoever. In fact, I'm not a fan of any politician. I like Brian Tracy's definition. He says a tick is a parasite, and poly means there's a lot of them. And so I look at it through those eyes. But let's just say, does it affect anything? Remains to be seen. But I will tell you this: the market likes stability and certainty more than uncertainty. So, is it possible for the short term we see a little more volatility? Maybe. Is it possible that they say, okay, we now think that we have a ticket of Kamala Harris and someone else and Trump and JD? We know what we're dealing with, and they move forward. Point being is that if you look at statistics, if you look at the data from the past, and you look at what happened when a Republican president came into power or into office, or a Democratic president came into office, there's no rhyme or reason as to what happened to the stock market. So the bottom line is, what's driving the market isn't the political element. Now, policies can affect the market. Tax laws can affect the market. But once it settles out, the market is driven by the economics of supply and demand, growth, and cash flow. That's it. That's what we're buying. And so don't try to sit back and say, oh my gosh, I got to position everything a certain way just in case so-and-so wins or so-and-so loses. Because I've watched people do that and they get hammered because they were on the wrong side of news. When you buy long-term, for instance, I was in Tesla. I'm still in Tesla, full transparency. I own Tesla stock, okay? And at one point, I was $30,000, $40,000 down in the stock, okay? But I know Tesla. Tesla's not going to zero, y'all. And the way it was invested, I was able to continue to make money on it, even though I was down on the stock. And now I'm up on the stock, 30 or 40,000. Point being is that we got to play the game from an investor's perspective with a long-term view, doing the right things with criteria, rules, and processes that work over the long term. And that's how I would kind of look at it. So I wouldn't get too caught up. I wouldn't get too caught up in the short-term swings of the market that are driven by news, politics, or conjecture and speculation, and play the long game. We avoid meme stocks, we avoid trends, we avoid fads, not fans. Hell, you might avoid fans too. But you avoid fads. Those kinds of things are driven by emotions. Anything that are driven by emotions, when our emotions go up, when it comes to our money, we make bad financial decisions. So we avoid that as best we can. All right. So with that, I'm gonna jump and answer a couple of questions that came in. If you have questions, let me know. I can, if you're in the Zoom room, you can let me know. I can unmute you, or let me know, type the question in, and then if we need to have a conversation about it, I can. But there's a couple of things that I want to touch on that came in. The first one was a question, and I'm not going to use their names because I'm just going to put the question out there. for purposes of the question. Says, my spending and saving habits have been poor over the years. I currently reading the book, Building Your Money Machine, to get back to ground zero and fresh start, including mindset. Currently have credit card debts totaling $20,000, interest rate of 29.99, so effectively 30%. Personal loan of $9K, interest rate of almost 12%. Took a loan out from the 401k of $30K. The pressure of owing money is keeping me up at night. I totally get it. And do you have any suggestions to consolidate all this so you can pay it back in a single monthly payment at a lower interest rate or another strategy? So this is something that I hear a fair amount, but there's a couple things I want to touch on here. One is there are debt consolidation companies. I caution anyone to use them because it doesn't necessarily guarantee you will get a lower interest rate. You might get a lower payment, but the way they get the lower payment is they extend your payments out longer, which means that you're actually paying more on the debt than you would have had you just got it paid off in the first place. So the way that they're manipulating the payments is the term and not the interest rate. Sometimes they'll get you a lower interest rate, but it'll only be temporary. So you want to make sure that you read all the fine print. This is not a debt consolidation, is not debt elimination. And debt elimination is someone that goes in and negotiates a settlement for your debt. The problem with most of those is that what they do is they let you default on the debt at jeopardizing your credit, your financial well-being, because it gives them leverage to negotiate. So they basically stop paying the debt and do that. Here's my suggestion. As hard as it is, I want you to go to melabraham.com/no debt. melabraham.com/no debt. I want you to go through a short training, download the debt breakthrough calculator. It's an Excel worksheet. You're going to put in all your debts. You're going to get yourself set up on a debt payment plan, and you're going to start paying it down based on that in an accelerated way to get out of it without trying to go to a consolidation, unless the consolidation can guarantee you a lower interest rate with not a longer term and get you out of the debt sooner than later. That's the most important debt I think you have right now, though, to get paid back is the money you borrowed from your 401k. When you borrow money from your 401k, and I don't recommend it. It has to be a last resort borrowing. There are some problems with borrowing from a 401k. The 401k, when you borrow from it, many plans do not allow you to contribute to your 401k any longer. And if you're not contributing, you're not getting the match, which means that you're not getting the free money. The second thing is that when you pay back the loan from the 401k, let's say you take $10,000 out, you actually take $10,000 out, but you're going to have to earn more than $10,000 to pay it back because you have to pay it back with after-tax dollars. So now all of a sudden, it costs you not only the $10,000, but it costs you $10,000 plus tax plus the interest rate. So it's a very costly thing to pay back. Number three, while that money is out of the 401k, you lose all the opportunity costs, the growth on it. And if it's growing at 8-10% a year, you lose that while the loan is outstanding. And number four, the most important one of all, I think, is this. If for any reason you separate your employment, either voluntarily or they let you go, you have 60 days to pay the loan back. If you do not pay the loan back within 60 days, it's what they call deemed distribution. And they say, it's been a distribution, it wasn't paid back, it's no longer a loan, and now you're subject to taxes and penalties on the loan. So let's get that one paid back as soon as possible. All right, so that was the one of the questions that came in, and I think it's important. Now I see some questions that are coming in. Let me jump on those real quick because you're here. Jason says, I guess you need to be patient and consistent. Yeah, do not panic when it's done. When you start to feel your emotions coming into play, this is when you have to step away, okay? Step away from it because It is important. If you so this is a great jumping off point. When you make an investment, you do not look at it and say, what I got $10,000, where do I invest it? You look at it and say, I have $10,000. How do I invest it to make my plan come true? In other words, everything's defined by a plan, but your plan is defined by the vision for your life. It's the reason the book was written the way it is. The first part of the book talks about your life. It says, define your life. Define what it is you want. Let's put a price tag on it. And once we understand that price tag and we understand where we are today, we know the gap we have to fill. And now let's get to filling it. And every decision we make is to work the plan, not an investment. And do it from that perspective. The other reason you want the plan is it allows you to not get caught up in the emotions or panic or greed that can come into it when things happen in the market, when it goes up, when it goes down. You know, we had 2 big down days last week, Thursday and Friday. And it can freak people out. It used to with me. It doesn't affect me anymore. As long as I'm working the plan and I'm in good companies and good stocks and good investments, they'll be there. And as long as I have liquidity, you're following what's in chapter 12 of the book, the wealth priority ladder. You have the financial cushion to sustain yourself if things happen. Okay? All right. What factors would I consider in deciding to loan or gift money to our children so they put it in a TFSA? Oops. Okay. We have maxed out our own sheltered accounts. So, Tanya, I don't have all the information on this as yet, but let's just theoretically, I'm not one that says that I don't believe that you just hand money to your kids. I don't know what ages or stages of life they are, but I think that when we gift them money, it's theirs. They can do with it what they want, no matter what your agreement is with them. If you say, hey, this is for school, or this is for this, or this is for that, they actually, once it's theirs, they can choose to spend it any way they want. Okay. And depending on how, the values of the children and all that stuff, you don't have control of it. So depending on what you're trying to do, there's a lot of different ways to do it via trust to make sure that you have control of what they're doing, how they're doing it. You can give them money. Jeremy was getting paid a salary or a commission, but he had 4 buckets he had to work from. And that was a giving bucket, a saving bucket, an investing bucket, and a living bucket. And around those buckets, I was able to then have conversations that were not around money alone, but about the values around the bucket, giving and generosity, the values of why that's important and what's meaningful to him and that kind of thing. Savings, the idea of frugalness and needing liquidity and what happens if your bike tire goes flat, how is it going to get repaired, and having those conversations. Investing, the power of time value of money, investing early and delayed gratification. And I was matching his investing at the time. And then living. He figured out really quickly that once he took care of those other buckets, he couldn't have everything he wanted. He would have to learn priorities and what really meant things to him and what mattered and all those things. So depending what you're trying to accomplish with it, other than giving them funding, ask yourself what values you want to inspire in them as we give them that money. And then we can start to look at what's the right accounts and the way to do it. All right. Is it Kishore? I hope I said that right. How to play the long-term game when you're reaching 60 years of age. How much do I need to invest regularly monthly for the next 12 years? I would like to have $2 million liquid by age 70. Only high-risk options open for me. All right, so here's the thing. Dude, I'm going to be 63 this year. And my wife thinks I act 12, so I got a lot of years. But 60, you still have a good decade and a half for you. That can come into play. But you're going to have a big shovel. If you want to hit $2 million, I'm just going to play with some numbers here, and I'm going to throw it up on the screen so everyone can see it. And let's just say that you're going to get 8%, which is the S&P 500 average term, and you're at 60. So let's push it to 15 years. Okay. If we can push it because you don't need all the money at 70. You need some of the money at 70, and you need it to last beyond 70. So that's the thing that a lot of people think, I need it all, but you're not drawing it all out. It's going to continue to earn. But if I start to look at this in this way, let me just see if I can do this. While this is always scary when you're doing things on the fly. But let's just take this and go $2,000. $3,000. Okay. So you're probably looking at a $5,000 a month. It's going to take you a lot to get to 2 million in 15 years at 8%. If I can get 9%, and you see what it pushes it up. Now all of a sudden I don't need that. So you are later in the game than I would like, but you don't have an alternative. Your alternative is what? To do nothing? I think you get in the game with as big a shovel as you possibly can. You go after it as heavy as you can. You don't get overly aggressive, because if I go to 12%, great. I might be able to reduce this to $3,000, or 3,500 will get us there. Looks like. Yep. But 12% is taking on a little more risk than you might want to take on. And so we have to balance it. So my suggestion here is, at this stage, what I want you to do is get really, really clear on your spending, your investing, your savings. Don't get overly aggressive in trying to take risks and hit for the fences every time. Because if you miss, now you're even further behind the 8 ball. I want a foundation in there, but that foundation is going to start with a financial plan and making sure that we've got control of our expenses, and now looking at how can I increase the amount of income that I have coming in that I can use. Kristen Miller, she's got a question about entities. About forming an LLC in California specifically for real estate investment and personal rental. Kristen Miller, there's not enough information there. Are you online? Do you want to unmute? Hi there. Let's go ahead and unmute you. What's going on?
I'm unmuted. Thank you. It's a quick one. As you know, I'm still intending to move to California. But so the purpose of that LLC specifically would only be real estate investment. Is it okay? I can see there's an echo. Is it okay if they... There we go. There, it's off. Sorry. So because so many friends and people are saying that it's best to form the LLC, even if you want to invest in property, just even one, say in California. I'm getting so many recommendations to rather form that LLC in Nevada, say, or something. But I was like, yeah, but what about if that sole purpose was to only have, say, 3 to 4 investment properties? So just let out, buy to let. Does it make a difference then if that LLC is in California, when one of the properties will definitely be in California? And then other properties could be, say, one in Atlanta, one in Greenville, or wherever. Like, can you make a mixed bag, or should it...
Who's giving you the advice?
People living in California. And I think it's because
what's their qualifications?
Yeah. Not at all where I want to be.
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
consider the source.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you have a piece of real estate in California and you put it in an LLC that's in Nevada, that's fine. You can do that. But you're going to have to register the LLC in California because it's the property's in California. It's doing business in California. My suggestion is actually to get some legal counsel with an attorney that's qualified to understand this, because it's important for you to realize that if you have a property there in Greenville, should there be an LLC in Greenville? And maybe there isn't even an LLC that needs to be formed. Because
Okay.
why do we put it in an LLC? To shield us from liability. I have one rental property right now that is not in an LLC, but I have a liability policy on it large enough that I'm not that concerned about it. So your first stopping point is making sure that it's properly insured. The second is to make sure that you have an entity structure in place. But that entity structure is going to be dependent upon, one, where you live, two, where the asset is housed, and three, what we're trying to accomplish. And the only way to do that is making sure that you have a proper attorney that understands the nuances to set it up the proper way, especially if you have multiple assets. Okay? Don't listen to other people. Don't listen to people that they're practicing laws as without a license. Don't do it. That's why I'm not telling you specifically. I'm just saying, hey, you can do it a lot of different ways, but using a Nevada LLC for a California property doesn't get you out of registering in California.
Yeah.
So my suggestion, where are you located right now?
Greenville.
Okay.
And I'll only move and I'll rent there as well, which that was going to be a second question. But again, I will speak to a California-based attorney for sure. Any suggestions, welcome.
Well,
But because
talk to your Greenville. If you have someone in Greenville, start there.
Okay.
And say, look, I'm looking for property here. Now, there are some things I want you to consider in California. It is not a landlord-friendly state. Okay? So before aside from an LLC, you got to actually decide, do I want to have a property here based on the landlord-tenant laws, the protections, the lack of protections? I want you to understand it all.
Yeah. I just want one.
I know.
Yeah. I was like, because I know I'm going to get there. Yeah. Okay. But I will speak to an attorney in California also, preferably too, just to get feedback. Because I know there's this mass exodus, and yet my entire gut instinct is saying just the one that I can then live in when I'm there, but I can also rent out when I'm not there. So it's not big. This is not the dream home. It's just a little investment, lock up and go.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't,
Thank you,
this doing it wrong can absolutely destroy you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Because you think you have protection and you don't. So spend the $200 to $500 to get the advice.
Yeah.
And make sure that it's done right.
Especially because it affects my long-term dreams, which obviously my residential home would be in a trust anyway. And then, it's long-term.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the other thing for that attorney to think about is this: if it's intended to be a residence for you, there's a residential exclusion, but if you move that into an LLC, you're going to lose it.
Oh. Yeah. Residential exclusion. I must ask about that. Thank you. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much,
You
Mel.
got it. You got it. Great question. All right. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Get a tax strategy to increase the money in your pocket. Valley Waters, is that a question or just a statement? It says, get a tax strategist to increase the money in your pocket. Let me know. All right, good morning. All right. It's a statement. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Get a tax strategy. Okay. Tanya, is there a resource to find and compare HISAs? Are you talking about HSAs? Tell me more. If you're just let me know. And in the meantime, I'm going to jump to another question that came in on the hotline. This was an interesting one. They 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 asked if I have any intention of translating my book in French anytime soon. Unfortunately, I don't have any intention of doing it yet. It would be nice to translate it into French and Spanish and all that stuff, but I'm barely out of the chutes on the English version, so let's give me a bit of time. Said if I have $1,000 that I could invest in the market, should I wait to have an emergency fund first or do it at the same time? So, this question, this is a good question. I would follow the whole process of the wealth priority ladder. So the very first thing I want everyone to have is that comfort fund at the bottom rung. It's in chapter 12 of the book. And is a comfort fund, $1,500 set aside in a high yield savings account to just give you oxygen to pay for deductibles or things that could come up if they come up. Then from there, your priority turns to making sure that you completely rid yourself of destructive debt while you're building your peace of mind fund or your emergency fund before you start investing it. And once I know that I'm out of the destructive debt or my emergency fund is built, then I can invest the difference. And so I would work it from that perspective on there. Follow the guidance in the book and the workbook and everything to make it happen. If you don't have the book, you should. I'll put that right there. You can go to yourmoneymacinebook.com to do that. But I would start with making sure that you have everything that I teach, honestly, what it's focused in on, if you look at it, is I want an unshakable foundation for you. I want safety first so we can grow on a good foundation. I don't want us to put ourselves in jeopardy. If we start investing $1 and we have no liquidity and we have a health issue, a job issue, something happens, we have no liquidity to carry ourselves, and now we're in trouble. I don't want to do that. So, great questions. High interest savings account. Okay. All right. Got it. Perfect. Best place to find high interest savings, high yield savings accounts is just go to bankrate.com and do a search. Now, couple things. With bankrate.com, you might see some, like right now, you can get 4.5% to 5.5% on average in a high yield savings account. I want you to think about 3 different characteristics. If it's a high yield savings account, you need to have 3 things. It needs to have 3 characteristics or you don't use it. 1, it has to be 100% liquid. You're not locking it up for 6 months, 1 month, 2 months, or even days. You have to have access to the funds within 24, 48 hours maximum. Okay. 2, there can be no fees. You're putting the money in their bank. They're going to use the money to make money. You're not going to have to pay fees for them to make money on your money. So no fees. So fully liquid, no fees. And number 3, 100% fully insured. This is your safe money. This is the money that you need to have in safe areas. It needs to be 100% insured. So those are the 3 characteristics of a high yield savings account. The other thing to be aware of is some of these high yield savings account banks are doing teasers. So when you go to bankrate.com, read the fine print, it might say that it'll give you 6.5%. But 6.5% is for the first $5,000 or for the first 30 days. I don't want to. You can play that game, but you got to then weigh the kind of the pros and cons of having to juggle it. It's like playing the credit card swap game and the points game and all that stuff. At some point, the complexity just isn't worth as some people say, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It just doesn't make sense. So I'd rather find one that I know that the rate's there and it's going to stay there until rates start to go down. If the Fed starts to decrease rates, high yield savings account rates will go down. So right now, full transparency, most of mine is at Wealthfront. It's an online bank. I get 5 to 5.5% there consistently. It is 100% insured up to $8 million, and there are no fees. I connect my bank accounts. If I need the money within 24 hours, it's in the other account. You can go to other accounts. You want to check them all out. I have not looked recently, but if I was looking, I'd go to bankrate.com, do a search for high yield savings accounts or cash accounts, and look at the criteria, look at the terms and everything, and do that. All right. Short-term CDs, would it make more sense to ladder money locking? Rita's asking this as a short-term CD. Would it make more sense to ladder money locking in good interest rates versus high interest rates for savings for money you don't need short-term? Rita, you can do what's called a ladder strategy. For those that don't know what that is, what she's talking about is you buy a CD that maybe matures in 3 months, another one in 6, another one in 9, another one in 12 months. And then when the 3-month matures, you move that to another 12 month because the next one is 3 months out. So you have this consistently. And what ends up happening is that if rates drop, the ones that are in those rates will be locked in at the higher rate. You can do that. I've chosen not to. So it is possible to do that. The question is, how close are we to a drop in rates? We might be 2-3 months. It may not happen this year if the data, let's see what the data comes in at the end of this week. And if it's giving an indication of slowing down or not, and everything. But if you think that the decline in rates is on the horizon, it may make sense to use a laddered CD approach, but know that the money is locked up. You can always get at the money. It's just gonna cost you in the form of giving up some of the interest. Urban says, I'm starting a mastermind group using your book. I look to have about 20 people in the group. Is there a discount for ordering more than 10 books? Yeah, here's what you can do. All right, I love this. Urban, DM me. There is a special site that will allow, it gives some discounts that I get from the publisher that you can do that. The other thing is make sure that you have the book club guide that I created, which is, I can make sure that you got that to guide you on how to set up a book club, how to run it. Every chapter has questions and all that stuff. So it makes it really easy for you to do. And there is a site that I got to get the link for. I don't have it available to get discounts for volume buys potentially, since now that the book is launched. Okay. And I love that. And if you have 20 people in that group, you let me know and we'll figure out a time or something for me to drop in and answer some questions and say hello. No sound on Facebook. Wow, we've been going a while. All right. Brianna saying to check out Credit Karma savings account 5.2. Oh. If I downsize my house, I would invest a portion of the cash proceeds and pay off a new house without a high interest mortgage. Tell me what the question is, Rebecca. Rebecca's got a question. She said, I was on a previous call. I was curious if I downsize my house, if I should invest a portion of the cash proceeds or pay off a new house without a high interest mortgage rate. So the question, it's a great question, but what I would love to know is more information around your finances. Do you have other investments? Where are you on your investing journey, your wealth journey? Where are you on building the money machine? Because it may be better to do that. We may want to invest the money so we're starting to build, then refinance the debt when the interest rates come down. But if the mortgage rate is too high and it's strapping you financially on an ongoing basis, then we may want to rethink that. So we got to look at it from a cash flow perspective, but in light of what you already have in place and where you are on your financial journey. If we have a long ways to go on building wealth, then I want to get this money invested and working for you versus paying down the debt. But I would love to see some numbers. Okay. In the Tiffany, where can you get the book club guide? In the book, in the first part of the book, you will see a QR code. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. You will see a QR code. I will put this here. You'll see in the first part of the book. Let me zoom this in. Okay. There's a QR code here that will allow you to, and you'll find it on that page. So use the QR code in the book if you have the book. Okay. Long way to go. I'm only 45 years. Oh, you're a spring chicken. Well, I didn't mean to call you a chicken. That sounded horrible. So I appreciate your thoughts. All right. So you're 45 years old. That means that you have, two decades ahead of you. Let's get the money working for us. Now, granted, you might be paying a little higher interest rate. You might want to put a little more down on the house. I get it. But I would rather have the money working for you and building something so you have the capacity to pay the house off down the road. And if interest rates drop in 12 months or 18 months, let's refinance it, get you back into a lower interest rate. In fact, here's the thing to do. When you talk about getting the financing on the house, okay, and I did this with this house here. There are a number of lenders right now that know that interest rates are going to drop, and they know that people are reluctant to buy homes because interest rates are high. So what they're doing is they're giving a one-time rate adjustment for like $200, $250. I know this because my son is in the middle of closing on another house and his wife, and we've got that provision in their loan docs for $250. They can re-amortize the loan without cost, without fees. It's not a full refinance. So say they're at a 6% rate. I don't know what rate they're at, but say they're at the 6% rate and I can get a 5% or a 4.5% rate. You pay $250 and no appraisal, no fees. They just adjust the rate and you're good. So when you go to buy this other house, negotiate and make sure that see if you can get a rate adjustment clause in there so you don't have to go through the whole refinance process down the road. Cool. Yeah, I did that here. In fact, and we've got an interest rate of less than 3% here. But the way I negotiated with them is I wanted a reamortization. So watch what I did. Let's say that I had a $500,000 loan. It was a lot bigger than that, but all right, whatever. $500,000 loan. If I chose to take, say, $200,000 and pay $200,000 down on a normal loan, the payment wouldn't change. You just change the balance. But I put a clause in there that at 200, if I put the $200,000 down, they would take the balance of the loan over the balance of the term and reamortize the loan, no cost, no fees, and it would reduce the payments. Because I knew I wasn't going to get a lower interest rate. I wasn't worried about the interest rate. I just wanted to amortize the payment over the remaining term. I didn't want to extend it. I didn't want to start it over. I didn't want to refinance it. I simply wanted to let's make it easy. If I had a $500,000 loan balance and I put $250,000 against it, it would cut my payments in half. And so that's what I wanted the ability to do. And a lot of people think that you don't have the capacity or the ability to maybe negotiate or have these conversations with lenders, but you do. And what's the worst thing that they can say to you if you ask? No. all right, you're no worse off than when you started. Let me put some more light on. Yeah, great questions. All right, other questions. Is this helpful for you all? Me doing this? I'm gonna do this, and then we'll figure out some more times. And I'm looking at the book club too. So, beautiful, sweet, love it. All right, we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. All right. Other questions? My dogs are behind me. You can see them running around. Cool. All right. All right. If there's no other questions, let me see if I have any more that came in on the hotline, though. I think I had one. Let's see. Oh, yes. All right. So we'll close out with this question. So I am 50 years old with about $30,000 in my 401k. That's all. I actually just did an episode on a study that was done by Vanguard, 5 million participants, on where their 401k balances are and what to do. So hopefully this will help. But I should be debt free in about a year. That is awesome. So debt free. I was wondering, as I want to begin saving and investing now. However, I would also like to buy a house. If in a year I have $800 a month to invest, or hopefully from a side hustle, would it be better to pay rent and invest the 800 or purchase a home? My mortgage payment would be much higher than my rent now. So would the extra 800 to invest be better? So the question of home value increase versus investment increase. Here's the thing with this that I think we need to be mindful of. If the only thing you have for your future right now is $30,000, then I am more inclined at 50 years old to focus on securing my future than securing a home. Okay? And here's why. If I jump back to my Excel for a moment, and let me see if I can bring it up. Where are you? Okay, too many screens. Here. So she said she had $800, but let's just say $700 for now. Let's say she's doing it at 8%. She's 50 years old. She has, say, 20 years to go. She could conceivably at 8% create a $500,000 nest egg. But if you're not investing the money, then my concern is, what are you going to use to support the payments on the house down the road and yourself when you get to those retirement years? And so that's why I'm kind of looking at it saying, I might start trying to get this nest egg in place first. Or if I have a side hustle that's going to allow me to build it faster, then maybe what I do is I split it and I take a portion of it and invest it. But I would run the numbers because you're a decade and a half to 2 decades from needing a money machine to help you support your lifestyle. And I don't know the Annapolis area from a real estate standpoint or a cost of living standpoint, but I can't imagine that it's cheap. Okay. It may not be California expensive, but it's probably not cheap. And so what I would look at is, if you don't have the book, get the book and go through the cost analysis, the trying to figure out what it might cost you to live and creating a plan to facilitate that. So you don't make just the decision to do something based on just buying a house. I also have a tool that I created called the home versus rent, buy versus rent calculator. So you can actually put some numbers into it and see what makes sense from just a cost standpoint. Because if you turned around and said, because you say, you pay rent, the mortgage would be much higher than your rent that you pay now. If you took and continued to rent and took that $800 plus the difference between the mortgage and the rent and invested it, maybe instead of $700, you're putting $1,000 away for a period of time. That's going to take that $500,000 and put it to 700,000. So it's a numbers game. And if you were younger and you had more in your 401k, or you have a way that's going to support you down the road, maybe you have a pension. I don't know if you're in Annapolis, if you're military or anything. If you have supplemental income beyond Social Security, then this whole conversation would change. Okay, but I'm just looking at it saying, with 30,000 or 401k, if that's the only thing I have plus any Social Security that I get, I don't think it's enough to carry you, and I want to build something more. So hopefully that helped. Y'all, this is so good to do. I just have so much fun doing this and getting a chance to chat with you and see your faces. It's been, like I said, it's been a minute since we've done this, and I missed it. And so it's cool to have y'all here and get a chance to see your faces. Many of you are familiar faces. Some of you are new. Watch for the dates. They're on the website. They're on the site. I will send out email reminders and everything. And we'll keep doing this. I know we have one scheduled for next week again and the week after. So we've got the next couple weeks on the calendar already. And then hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be able to figure out the book club kind of thing. So, and in the meantime, if you have questions or anything, let me know. And I look forward to supporting you on the journey. All right, y'all. All right. You have an amazing week. I'll be in Vegas later this week speaking. Yeah, I love seeing the book. Post the book. If you have not left a review, do me a favor. Go to Amazon and leave a review. We're trying to keep it in the recommended categories. We hit number 4 in business on YouTube, USA Today, and number 24 in all books. But if you can leave a review, that would be friggin' awesome on Amazon. So hopefully it's a 5-star, but hey, be honest. All right, y'all. You have a blessed day, and we'll chat. We'll chat really soon.